Good morning, evening, or afternoon, whichever one's going on for you at this current point in time. I got called out because there was this lady that was having an issue with her water temperature and she was saying that it wasn't as hot as it used to be. So I said, let me go check it out. When I get over there, immediately when I open the second door in the basement, I can smell gas just pure concentrated. I'm like, uh oh. Some people might be running for the valves. However, I decided to go running for the windows, really air out the place just to make sure it was something safe to work in. Next, I go over to her water heater, and the complete vent is on the floor in one whole piece. So I'm not even thinking about the water temperature anymore. Now I'm thinking, where's this gas coming from? And of course, we found that the vent is not connected. Now, immediately, I turn off her water heater, and we got to start building up to code because I don't like to do sloppy work if I can avoid it. So the first thing you're going to see is this shiny portion here where you can kind of see that the connection to the flange, which leads to a masonry chimney, is a little bit shiny. Now, the first thing we have to do in my area when it comes to code is masonry chimneys have to be 30 feet tall or higher in order to be used as vents. This one is also used as a vent for an oil burner, so it is sufficiently, 30 feet or higher, so it meets code there. Next, we have to make sure that the vent is connected to that flange, but I didn't use masonry screws to self-tapping screws. Instead, I could glue it in because according to code, I am able to quote unquote seal the dwelling from, what would you call it? The elements, right? So any rain, any snow, any precipitation that might get down the chimney, I can seal the home off from the cold, any backdraft, that kind of thing. So that's what the shiny thing is. And in case anybody cares, I'm going to put a little something on the screen of what I use. It is the DAP AMP poly formula. So it's supposed to be better than silicone and also rain ready in 30 minutes. And because of the cold temperature and because it was snowing, I had to make sure that I got something that could quickly dry and quickly seal the home. Next up is moving back just a little bit. You can see this is all single wall 26 gauge galvanized steel. You see that little screw right there? Yes, I did use 1/4 inch half tapping zinc coated corrosion resistant. I know it's a bit of a mouthful. Screws. And in code in a lot of places, besides the rivets that kind of hold these vents together, or these vent connections together, you do have to use multiple screws. So I did go and put 3 screws for every joint connection moving backwards. I know this middle portion right here, some people are going to be like, oh my God, if you're going to do that, why didn't you just put all new venting? Listen, this ain't my home. I am not the owner. I just came out to do something nice, get it working again. And the owner, when he sees that something's wrong with his property, you know what he does? He goes and buys another property so he can spend more money and just you say no to any repairs unless it costs $5. If it's not broken, on fire, or about to sue, he could care less. But you can see a little bit of oranging here. That's just some superficial rust over X amount of years, but still no holes, nothing that would suggest that it's perforated. Now, this newer piece is going to look a little bit more like aluminum. I assure you, this is steel, and 3 more screws around. Now, if you look at these little ruffles, these little ridges, these are for the male side. Just a side note, anytime you see these male splines or these male connections going in towards your home instead of out towards the vent, it means it was installed backwards. The male is always leaving, the female should always be pointed in towards your water heater. So just in case anybody happens to see that, if you see it in your home, it was installed backwards. If you did it, then you need to turn everything back around. Now, 3 more screws at this joint. I did get a 90 articulating piece to put in because the joints, and I know it does look like there's a bit of a dip. I assure you, when you see the next angle, it's still pointing upwards. I just had to articulate the joints a little more to the right because of the offset of where the water heater is. Another thing about my code is that the water heater or the appliance, right, has to be what is the term? It has to be within reason, which is such an ambiguous term. So the water heater was plumbed in or piped in 24 inches away from the flange, which is perfectly within what I would call reason. So just if you're building up to code and they use that term, don't put your water heater in the middle of your basement or your garage or your attic or something. Just reasonably next to the vent as close as possible for masonry chimneys. Now moving backwards, we see that we're connecting that essentially a 90 to a 90, but the 90 that I put is straight. When you're adding your pieces of venting, please make sure that if you're using galvanized steel, keep galvanized steel. Don't attach galvanized to aluminum, to copper, to PVC. Like, don't, make it look all uniform and make sure that it's all wearing at the same time. So looking down, you don't see it, and I know it looks like it's slipped up a little bit. I did go after and put the third screw, so the vent hood is sitting, flush the way it's supposed to that 90. But moving back, yes, the braided lines that I put are still there. And there are 4 legs for the vent hood, so I did connect them. You see those little ugly vent legs on the side? I did come back and cut those off with my rotary, but because there was so much gas concentration, the last thing I wanted to do was introduce sparks, because I didn't want to cause anything to, combust. But 4 legs, again, 1/2-inch screws, very short. You just want enough to secure the vent hood to the water heater. If you use long ones, you could puncture straight through the insulation, which is usually some kind of foam, and you could go straight through the metal tank, straight into the fiberglass lining, and you have ruined your tank. You now need another one that will not seal again. Please do not just grab whatever's in the store. Make sure you use the perfect screws for your application. Now, if we look from the backside, you can see the pipe is looking upward. The next thing we have to do is make sure that from the bottom of the vent hood, every 12 inches of horizontal run for your pipe or for your vent connection needs to be 1/4 inch of rise. So as we can see here, from the bottom of the vent hood to the bottom of the flange where it exits inside the chimney is clearly more than 1/2 inch. So we are good here, and at no points are there any dips. Again, all the way around, we are seeing those screws that are in place. If anybody wants to send me a deep bandsaw, either the M18 5-inch bandsaw or the Flex one, if Rigid wants to make one and send me one, I don't have one. Otherwise, I would have taken those splines. I know it does look a little bad, but I had to use my recip saw with a metal blade, a lot of vibrations, to kind of cut this piece in the center to connect to that new piece. So if anybody wants to do that, I think bandsaws are super nice, evenly cut. They don't bog down. They're super consistent. Hey, I do not have the money to go throwing around right now. Anyways, moving forward, everything is good, solidly connected. And the main thing is also, I believe it's 12 to 16 inches away. So I'm going to come over here. You see how this insulation is kind of hanging down? Whether or not it's fireproof or fire resistant insulation, we're not supposed to have flammable content, right, quote unquote, 12 to 16 inches away from any type of, because of the different, I think it's flash point or heating point, where something is so heated that it can combust at an earlier, lower temperature because of how dry it is in relation to this. But the main thing is also, since we're here, is for code, we cannot tape any of our joints. I know that vent tape is what you like, but for 3 reasons, our code does not allow it, and that is to be inspected, to be cleaned, or to be replaced. We cannot cover the joints. If your joints are covered correctly and connected properly, you should not have any backdraft. You should not have any leak. You shouldn't be able to smell CO2. And CO is obviously, you can't see it, smell it, taste it, or hear it. So as a medical assistant, please, if you have a monitor or if you have a sensor that's going off, contact the fire department, get the heck out of that house, open all the windows, and then run out. The fire department's going to come with probably something better of a sniffer, and they'll probably see where it's coming from and cut off the gas, or contact your gas company directly, and they might send somebody out, again, with a better machine than whatever's built into your fire detector to see where the heck it's coming from. Carbon monoxide's no joke. There are about 15,000 people every year who report in the U.S., I believe, maybe more, some kind of issue with carbon monoxide, and of that, maybe about 400 people die. So I know it sounds like a small number when you consider 400 versus 400 million people in the U.S., but don't do it. Don't let you or one of your friends or family members, coworkers, somebody be part of that 400 just because of something that you're ignoring. As a medical assistant, I have to say that if you're having random headaches, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, some people may report a nosebleed, do check your home for carbon monoxide. It could be something that saves you, especially if you have an HVAC system where there's a water heater next to an HVAC system. If you have a carbon monoxide leak, it could be directly sucking up that carbon monoxide and delivering it straight through the vents into your home, your apartment, your condo, your penthouse, your whatever the hell you're living in, and it could not be a good time. CO also likes to sink toward the floor, so your pets may start acting weird, and if you sleep on the floor or if you have something for your back where you're laying down, you might notice some tingling, some weirdness, and some dizziness or disorientation. Please go get checked if you suspect it, and check your wherever you live. All right? Moving forward, I know they got a little dark, but moving forward, everything is now good. And I am going to put a little 1-minute clip just to show you at the end what atmospheric pressure is supposed to look like, or atmospheric venting is supposed to look like when it's acting properly. So check that out really quick.
Now the heater is on, but check this out. Fire should be going out. See that? It's atmospherically removing the gas as exhaust. It's heating up, and you see how it's here? If it was backfeeding into the house, it would be pushing the gas away or turning off the fire. But check that out. As soon as it gets near, it's sucking in the flame and exhausting it out.
And that's all I have to offer you at this time. You have yourself an excellent day. Please stay safe out there and make sure that your exhaust systems are working the way they're supposed to, and work smart.